yippee-yay, pow wow, yippee-yo, yippee-yay.
Pow wow, yo, yippee, yay, beautiful burgers is pow number 46, and I'm super excited to be with you guys. In this special episode, we're gonna dive in exactly, are we in a bear or bull cycle? How can you take the best advantages of it, take profits? And more importantly, we're gonna talk about pay to trade model with Borg, really go through the deep analysis, understanding is the Borg pay to trade model going to work? Is the cashback sufficient to fight against the bears and the sell off? Are we going to go from this accumulation zone to all times high? In this special episode, we're going to have my lovely brother from my real mother, and we're going to be talking about all these precious questions and answer them one by one. Alex, super excited to have you today.
I'm super excited. And even though the sentiment is at all-time low, I think today our purpose, guys, is really for you to see the markets objectively and not over-rely on perma bears or perma bulls, so that you can really have the factual information and create a strategy based on that information. So I'm super hyped. And also, Sai, as you said, does the Borg buyback and pay to trade model work or not? We're going to figure that out as well.
Exactly. And with Alex, which is always great, he really breaks down through in-depth analysis to understand behavior markets and how you should behave to them. So make sure that you stick to the video. And of course, at the end, it's all going to be about the Borg and how we're going to try to tell you what's the next big thing. And there we go. Bear or bull cycle, Alex?
Okay, so today we're going to look at 6 pillars and statistics to really gauge on where we are, because it's very important that we do not just say we're in a bear cycle or a bull cycle. We need to look at this through a probability perspective. So what are the probabilities relative to these 6 core pillars? So without further ado, the first pillar, and unfortunately, as you guys know, the Fed has way too much power. And when we look at the Fed and where we are in terms of progressing, is this positive or negative? We can see that, first of all, the Federal Reserve has announced that we're entering quantitative easing. And if we look at the data for bear markets, only 7% of the time via the Fed in doing quantitative easing have we entered a bear cycle. So if we are entering quantitative easing, then there's a 93% chance that we're going to a bull cycle. So very high and positive probabilities. The inflation rate is at 2.9%. which is the lowest in 3 years. So that's looking positive. And the unemployment rate is the highest in the past 4 years, which sounds negative in terms of the economy, but it's actually positive because it will put pressure on the Fed to lower interest rates, because by lowering interest rates, people can hire more and they can boost this unemployment rate. So far, Sai, I don't know how you feel, but overall, if the Fed follows the quantitative easing, would it be fair to say that this is positive so far?
This is very positive for sure. And the 7% of time that QE didn't really work is when everything was blowing up, like in 2008 or whatsoever. And maybe few people talk about the AI bubble. There's no AI bubble. There's definitely maybe on like some VCs or that are investing in companies that are not doing that well, but there's no bubble in the AI sector. The AI is the last step of humanity, pretty much, with robotics. So there's not a bubble there. There is NVIDIA producing a huge amount of chips, and these chips are being bought through all these big companies, and Meta, Amazon, Tesla, and all these different other companies are doing huge amount of calculus to make their jobs much better and the service and products much better. So it's always fulfilling within a small amount of companies, but there's no AI bubble. And that's why I believe that QE as well will be a fantastic way of pushing us forward.
Absolutely. And so moving on to pillar number 2, which is the macro environment. Just for everyone to know, and although it sounds like doomsday every time you watch CNN or other fake news platforms, and you look at the actual governmental statistics, you will see that the US GDP is actually super healthy as of today. H2, it's up 3.8%. And in Q3 this year, the latest statistics, GDP was 4.1%. So the US economy, and thanks to AI, as you're saying, Sai, has been doing extremely well and much better than the economical forecasts. And even if we look at the Eurozone, which is obviously a bit slower than the US, but we take into consideration the global GDP, so not just the US, we are actually in economic expansion because globally, in terms of the GDP, we're at 3.2%. So there's no recession or all these BS topics that you're hearing in the news. The facts say something else. And one last thing, as you know, Sai, and a lot of the macro guys love to look at the money supply via M2, and they're wondering, how could M2 be so high in terms of how much money is flowing into the system? How much cash is parked on the side? Why aren't the markets mooning? It's just because of the uncertainty, right, Sai? It's because people are unsure whether they should be risk on or risk off. But as soon as they're risk on, we all know that because the money supply is at an all-time high, the money will just eventually flow into the markets like crazy as soon as quantitative easing starts. And then one last thing from macro, consumer spending, which is a very important metric, is very resilient. So people are spending money. So I would, and what do you think, Sai? But I would consider that macro so far from a US, but also international standpoint, is healthy as well. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's very healthy. There's no doubt about that. I think that, we're in different position that overall there are some layoffs and things like that, but that happens, right? There's no though indicator that we're anywhere close to recession or in a bubble. And that even if stocks might be at all-time high, it's just a renewal of what is happening through the 21st century where value is being accrued in these giant tech companies.
So Cyrus, that's a great point talking about the stock market. But before that, if we can jump into the business cycle. So corporate earnings are up 11.7%. And this is not just AI. So businesses like Walmart, et cetera, year on year have growth in terms of their earnings side, which, is a very important factor for the health of a company. And the only metric within the business cycle that is still uncertain is the ISM, which is the manufacturing index. It tells us a little bit about the health of the supply chain and gives surveys, essentially, different US corporations on the purchase side of things. So yes, it is still below 50, which means relatively weak. 50 is an average, and then above 50 is considered healthy. But one thing to kind of stress here, Sai, is that the ISM was at an all-time low in 2023 and has been constantly on the rise. So this, maybe we would agree here, Sai, that corporate earnings are going up, but since the ISM and the PMI are not necessarily looking great, this is rather a negative signal. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that they're overall, again, the economy worldwide is going well, but there's definitely concentrating on few sectors which are still based on the tech ones, which are overperforming, and where other sectors have not been able to catch up for different reasons. Yeah.
And catching up, I think, is really good side because we had high energy prices right earlier on this year. So that was probably one of the problems in the supply chain. So that's a really good remark. So let's just keep pillar 3, guys, as a negative signal. So far, Sai, 2 positives, 1 negative, right? And then the next one, you were talking about the stock market, risk on assets. Now, here it's very important to understand that crypto and stocks are highly correlated, especially during corrections. So if we look at the pump, they can essentially not be so heavily correlated. But as soon as there's a correction in the stock market, crypto goes with it. You can see here plus 0.8, which is high correlation. But one thing to understand is, was the stock market in a bull market or not? And just for everyone to know, what does a bull market mean? Usually it's 2.7 years of a run, and it annualizes a return of 21 to 30% year on year. So that's quite an increase, right? So if you're averaging, let's say, 10% in average years, but then all of a sudden you make 21 to 30%, that's considered a bull market. Now let's look at why I believe we never had a stock rally, and it was just a sector boom, as you were saying earlier, Sai. AI stocks, because of its revolutionary technology. And long story short, if you remove AI stocks from the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500, essentially you're actually removing 60 to 70% of returns on your annualized returns, meaning that the S&P 500 without AI stocks has only rallied 9.7% this year. And the NASDAQ 100, without the AI stocks, so if you remove NVIDIA, if you remove Alphabet, etc., has only rallied 13% this year. And so it's good to understand that the NASDAQ, its historical average is 18%. So the actual stock market has underperformed the average performance here, Sai, if you see what I'm saying, and is not even remotely close to the 21 to 30% it earns in most bull markets. So Sai, would it be fair to say that the stock market wasn't in a bull market? This is purely a sectorial boom through AI.
100%. It's the renewable renaissance of the 21st century, and AI obviously is one of the big one. Robots is the second one, and the third is crypto.
Exactly. And I think what you're saying is very important, because as we cross the chasm with Web3, as it's what it's doing already, as the technology matures, I've been saying this for many months now. I think we're going to go through the craziest transformation of generational wealth we've seen up until now. And we'll talk about the crypto markets and one of the next pillars. But before we do that, one last thing, and I know, Sai, you posted about this on X, which is really cool, is also market cycle psychology. So we can't look at this just through economic and business data or financial markets data, but we also have to look at the psychology. And the fact that we never had any euphoria stages, right, Sai? So here in the euphoria stages, if we look at bull cycles that ended without euphoria, then only 5 out of the 27 bear markets, roughly 18% from the entire past century of risk on assets, have been through a bear market. So essentially saying that 82%, sorry guys, of all bull markets have a euphoria stage. So, and here clearly we did not have a euphoria stage. There was an increase in Bitcoin's price via institutional adoption, Ethereum the same. Some tokens managed to reach new all-time highs, like BNB token, that have very strong fundamentals. So what I'm trying to say here, Sai, is that, we've just hit fear and greed. It's just reached its all-time high for fear. The altcoin season index has reached its lowest low since 2021. So these signals are telling me that for sure we did not go through a bull cycle, Sai, because we did not have the euphoria stages. Is this a far-fetched remark, or what do you think?
No, for sure. There's we're in a bear trap. That's exactly where I believe we are, and we've been there multiple times. That's where it gets a little bit tricky. Like I was talking yesterday, Friday in Paris, but I did a similar presentation in different places throughout the last 2-3 years, and it's like you get the steam of a bull market, and then you have these corrections that bring you back. And then it gets to more accumulation zone. We go back to this new nice phase, and then there's pullbacks. And in most of bull runs, we already have multiple 30% pullbacks, which is exactly what we're witnessing almost today. So Bitcoin would be around 88,000 if we did this 30% correction. So it happens. And these are healthy corrections because it enables, unfortunately, whales to accumulate much more, and the weak hands to unfortunately deleverage themselves or even sell their positions, and eventually the smarter, more sophisticated people get to own your Bitcoins that you used to have for free.
Absolutely. Very, very well said.
Ethereum, Solana, and Borg.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last pillar, which is the 6th. So far, Sai, I think it would be fair to say, and what do you guys think outside? Please let us know in the comments below. But amongst these 5 pillars, only one is looking a bit negative, which is the business cycle. But the others look very, very promising, because once again, if fear and greed is at an all-time high, altcoin season index is at an all-time low, then all of a sudden, you as a contrarian, when people have fear, you should be buying. When people have greed, you should be selling. So I would say that it would be fair to say there's a lot of positive points here. And last but not least, the altcoin cycle, which alt season, everyone is looking forward to this. I did some calculations, Sai, which essentially takes total altcoin market capitalization, so removing Bitcoin, And we looked at the all-time high of 2021 and the current total crypto market cap without Bitcoin as of today, November 18th, 2025. And long story short, in the previous cycle, altcoins reached $1.5 trillion of total market capitalization. Currently, we're at $1.2 trillion of total altcoin market capitalization. So, Sai, we're not even close to the all-time highs of the 2021 cycle, meaning that in 4 years, despite all the new projects and all the innovation, the market hasn't priced in this innovation.
100%. And it shows again that obviously every season is different, but there's no doubt that a lot of tokens or particular type of tokens that have strong fundamentals are the one that will have generation wealth, right? If you're looking for the 50, 100, 200% Bitcoin, it might be the great one. If you're looking for more than that, well, that's where you could do those 5x, 10x and all that. This is where you need to play your game. Obviously more volatility, but these are usually when there's strong drawdown. These are the moments that you should try to figure out what's your move, because in every crisis you could have fear or you could have an opportunity, right? And is that way a Japanese sentence? Because I heard someone say recently there's a Japanese thing for crisis. How do you say Japanese crisis, Alex? Did you know how to say tataki, or did you ever heard about that? No,
Tataki, I think
Japanese. It's what?
I think it's Japanese food. Yeah, tataki is
you're right.
A Japanese mushroom. No, I do not know the proverb or the expression that you're trying to say, but I mean there are a few. There's nanakorobi yaoki, which means fall 7 times, get up 8, but that's more on persistence. But no,
okay, that's not it. Okay, the guy made it up. You should never listen to these reels. But long story short, you know what I mean. Yin and yang in every crisis.
And I think so what I'm trying to say with the 6 pillar size, there was no altcoin season. It did not happen. People are saying, look at some coins, they rallied. No, that was a fundamental season based on buybacks, which by the way, Sai, is exactly the same what happened in stocks. So all the AI stocks that are pumping is just they're generating so much cash that they're buying the crap out of their own stocks. So really, it's a fundamental season. There was no altcoin season. And when we look at these market caps, just one last thing, Sai, that's very important to understand. We only remove Bitcoin from it, right? But what if we remove Ethereum? Because that's also going through a super cycle because institutions are buying more Ethereum than retail as of today. But on top of that side, what if we remove the stable coins, right? Because if we really want a true indicator on how to measure an alt season, you would have to remove stable coins. And guess what, Sai? Stable coins like USDC have more than 10 times their valuation. Tether has 3 times its valuation since the previous cycle. So you know what I'm saying, Sai? Essentially, we would even have to remove stable coins to really have the right numbers. So I am 100% confident there was no such thing as an altcoin season so far. And therefore, those who say, oh, some coins pumped, they have no clue what they're saying.
100%. You would have seen, and maybe to end with this, and it's very important, a bear market could only start with a crisis that then creates other crisis that created other crisis that create other crisis. If you look at cycles, 2017, you say it very well. What was 2017 for the stock market, Alex? The bubble?
The bubble, the Web 2 bubble?
Yes. Or Web 1 even. Alex always compared the 2017-18 crash of ICOs like as the tech bubble in 2001, right? It's hopium built on that and speculation based on crazy people trying to make things that won't happen, right? The 2021-22 crisis is very, very similar to the 2008 crisis. It's a long-term capital management that starts to go then after into, so long-term capital management was a hedge fund that imploded due to their arbitrage, which is very similar to what have happened to what we called, what was the hedge fund, Alex, that did the GBTC, sorry?
Grayscale.
No, sorry. Grayscale is the GBTC, but the traders, Sun Tzu. 3AC, yeah. So 3AC was the long-term capital management. Then what happened is Bear Stearns is the FTX and all of that has coupled and all that bubble that have imploded with Genesis Capital and all these people giving loans was essentially the subprime, right? Here, there's none of that. Okay, we had some leverage traders that got popped, a month ago,
Yeah.
but that's nothing. You could only have capitulation when you went through a huge war. If you go in a bar fight, it's like, well, I'll go back to the
100%.
bar next week, right?
No,
If you go
but
to a war, then it's very different.
But that's exactly my justification. When you put in both the .com boom and bust and recovery cycle in parallel with the Web3 boom and bust recovery cycle, is that our 2022 side was like the Great Depression. Literally. I mean, we lost $2 trillion in market cap, UST, 3 Arrows Capital, FTX, Celsius. I mean, hundreds of billions of dollars in DeFi hacks. Bubbles bursting everywhere. It was catastrophic, and really the recovery cycle, and that's why and this is why it's lasting so long. That's why I don't believe we had an altcoin season since 2022. It's normal. When we had the big .com bubble burst, you remember it was like 5 to 7 years that the stocks were really struggling to recover. There were just a few, right? Amazon surfaced.
And if I may, because I didn't remember those times. I mean, this is the first time I invested in stocks was around 2005. But what I remember though from the 2008 cycle was that it took us 8 years to not be pessimistic. And I think some people still have PhD from 2008 around me. I was at my debut in my career. But here's a bit the same thing. Obviously, everyone wasn't want to see a bear market, but people are just afraid because the 22 wipeout was just really something super strong. And I mean, that's the truth. So of course, all the bears that are listening, it's normal. Don't feel that you're negative. It's just that you've went through a lot, and but the future is always
bright, my friends, always bright. And so I think, like obviously we're smiling, we're in pain inside, but it's very important. Once again, guys, you've seen 6 pillars. Out of the 6, maybe 1 is negative and 5 are positive. However, we know, that if the Fed does not go to quantitative easing and they decide to do a U-turn, that would be brutal for the markets. And so maybe the next slide, we can show the community what are the major milestones they need to look forward to in order to understand if the pain endures or not, right? Let's imagine year 1 doesn't go to plan, right, Sai?
100%.
And so here with Cyrus, we built 2 major milestones that you really need to look forward to, guys, is that we have a new Fed chairman that will be replacing the current Jerome Powell Fed chairman on May 15th, 2026. So that's a major milestone because we know that if they're appointed
Trump boy.
Exactly, he's going to be a Trump boy. Why? Because Trump appoints the chairman and Scott Bessent is interviewing them, right? So
if you are fed up of the Fed will be up on May 15th. Fed up.
Oh my God, that's a quote right there. That's a quote. I love it. If you're fed up of the Fed, don't worry, it'll be up. That's great. And so the second, the reason why they want to take control of the Federal Reserve is because the next major milestone is November 3rd, 2026, where we have the US midterm elections. Why is this so important, guys? Is because Trump has a Republican Senate, and he's going to want to keep a Republican Senate. And in order to keep the Republican Senate, he wants to make sure that everything is going well and the market is pumping from all cylinders, whether it's the economic cycle, the business cycle, Main Street, Wall Street, the economy, the financial markets. He wants everything to be extremely positive so that he can keep the Senate. Because even with a Republican Senate, he's still struggling to pass some laws, right? He's getting lots of opposition. There's a lot of friction, political friction. So this is a very important milestone. And one thing, that I'd love to get you to, if we can go quickly back to the slides, is people may be wondering, like, what strategy should I have? And you always told me, that the financial, does it mean that we need to wait until May, or are financial cycles faster than the economic or business cycles?
That's a great question. Usually we say that the current economy and the markets have a 6-month differentiation. So if we know that, the Fed's going to be replaced and we're going to be fed up, and the Fed's going to be cutting these rates, most probably markets will be reacting. However, with the recent, I would say, non-understanding where this government is positioning itself, I think that's another reason why a lot of correction has happened since, because people get liquidated a month ago, and then for last month there's not much happening on any economical data. So I would say the crypto world was a bit bored. When you're bored, it's never a good thing. And the Trump not making things clear, even if they did talk about universal basic income for the US citizens, which is $2,000 per person, which is insane. Imagine how much of that would go into crypto. That would be actually a very nice pump, handing out $2,000 checks to people. So there are like few things, but as the government has been shut off, I think the market has some way shut itself out as well.
Yeah, there's so much fake news on that as well, Sai. But the FOMC guys, we have it on December 9 and 10. So let's say, Sai, the Fed does a pivot and they decide not to cut the rates, right? We're going to go through some pain, some temporary, right? That will be alleviated, as we've seen earlier through these slides.
3 weeks from now.
Yeah, 3 weeks from now. So, Sai, if we do go through some pain, what is the best investment strategy, and how can people use the SwissBorg app to lower their average purchase per coin, and make a lot of money in 2026 when the markets rally?
That's where I really ask everyone is, wherever you are in a phase in your market, you should always have 20% the minimum cash. And why do you want to have cash? Is that like that every month you're able to auto invest on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And this enables you to really not to time the market, but to be as enough time into the market, and that reduce market volatility. It makes you enjoy. There's this whole safety that goes with it, and it really enables you to dollar cost average, or to Swiss franc average, or to euro cost average, whatever you want to call it. It enables you to not be too emotional in the market, and that's a great thing. That really I recommend everyone is always to have whenever there's big, volatile moments. You could add up, right? Like this morning, you wake up 89,000 Bitcoin dollars. Maybe this has been the final drop, and then you could go over, or just let it flow. Just say it doesn't matter. I don't know. I'm not gonna time the market. I just have my monthly average, bring in 500 euros, 1,000 pounds, 10,000 Swiss francs, whatever you want, and you just make that on a monthly basis. But you could trade then with the auto investing every day or every week or whatsoever. This is really what has been the best tool to get in, but to get out as well in the market, right? If your dream is to buy a house of, I don't know, let's say 500,000 euros, well, then you know that when you get to this amount, then you're able to auto invest out. And I think this is really something that is very important for people. Is the market will give you a lot of emotionals up and down. How do you make a plan to make you're sure going to make it happen? You define these things ahead, and you make sure that you respect them, and then you just let that little cyborg trade for you.
Absolutely, Cyrus. So, and if I can give a clear suggestion, this is not financial advice, but guys, start the DCA right now, like literally right now. Take your phones and set it for a weekly purchase, and set it for 2 months, right? Set it for 2 months weekly, buying it back. And then right now, you guys will be dollar cost averaging at a very strategic time. So if Bitcoin drops below 90K, goes to 84, 87K range, whatever, you're actually automatically buying that. By the way, in the app, it's called Auto Invest. Set it for 2 months, and then you can reset it later and buy all the tokens that you have the strongest convictions in: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Borg token, ICP, Sol, whatever. But set it up right now, guys. Literally, like, I think, Sai, it's really important that people get to action, right? And we can show a video on how easy it is to do so.
Let's show a video right now.
The easiest way to get to this feature is from the Invest app. Here, By going on the Auto Invest card, you are landing on a dashboard, which gives you more information about what Auto Invest brings and what benefits it gives to you. And also, if you have other Auto Invest already configured, you will be able to see them here. But let's configure the first one. So just go on the new Auto Invest, and then we will have to select the first asset that we want to invest in. This time we'll choose Bitcoin. Next, we have to choose what frequency do we want for our investment. Is it daily, weekly, every other week, or monthly? This time we'll choose weekly. Then just select the source of funds. Where do we want to take the funds out of and put them into Bitcoin? You can choose any funded account in the SwissBorg app. This time we'll choose USDC. Then we just have to input the amount, 100 euros, and you can input either in the display currency or in the source of funds, as you can see right now. We can switch between them. Let's choose 100 euros and hit next. Here is an overview screen that you have to confirm. You have here all the details about your investment, so just confirm. And congratulations, you have your first investment. And now you can see in the overview screen that you already have made your first investment into Bitcoin. So thank you for listening and hope this was helpful.
Quickly, a product update. As you guys know, we have now 400 tokens that are listed on SwissBorg app. We have added many more tokens this week, which is Prove, MMT, Trusts, which is fantastic. Plank, which is on the BSC network. It has an AI narrative around it, which is again how to bring GPU usage and how to make the best out of it, the most efficient way to do it, which is really cool. There's Play Solana as well that's been added, which is fantastic. And you could always upvote for any token, but one that I'm very excited is the next one. Let's check out this video.
Waiting for the InterCellar token? Like thousands of people. And you no longer believe in this monkey business, right? Let me show you how we launch a real tangible token. With InterCellar, we are bringing to life the world's most promising tech narrative, real-world assets.
Obviously, this is a very good friends about with SwissBorg that we've really helped since the day one. They have a great, fantastic platform. It's RWA. This is one of the best play, I think, today. At least the best NFTs you could ever get in the world of Web3. It really links each bottle to essentially an NFT marketplace. If you like wine, if you like to speculate on wine, these are really, and more than wine, all type of liquors actually. This is something that is very, very interesting because it has real world applications on it, and it's very good for being connoisseurs and all the community that's behind it. The InterCellar token has even better news. We're going to have as well a 40% FDV from actually what we have invested. This will give us essentially more tokens for you guys. So the launch price is going to be at 0.29. Which is good. This was the old alpha price. We are going to have 8% of the tokens that were going to be released on the TG, which is happening this week after tomorrow, on the 20th. Then you have a 4-month cliff and 8-month vesting. So within a year, you'll have all your tokens within the SwissBorg app, which is fantastic. And we have as well upgraded Avalanche for now with the new liquidity platform, decentralized exchange with Trader Joe, or LFJ they call it now. Last but not least, we have a 10k BORG prize to win trading XBG. So you know what the game is all about. Make it happen, and hopefully you'll be able to investing smartly and making some money and winning this competition. Events last week.
Started small, just a simple trade. Step by step, see the progress made. Every rank unlocked, we move ahead. Stronger together, enough said. We
more. We had some lives as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. It's in French. But the good thing now, actually, on YouTube with the SwissBorg channel, you could actually change, and I could talk in any language you guys want. So that's really good. You just go in the comments there, and you could look in languages, and it dubs everything, not in live, but whenever the videos are released. More events to happen. Please check it out. And of course, shout out to again to the meetups around Europe, which are fantastic. The next one is London. It's going to be really cool. I was the one last week in Paris. It was very nice. There was all type of people, even a guy that was like over 80, 90 years old, which was amazing. Governance results. 47% have voted for the leadership board to go for both trading competition and cashback. So that's going to happen very soon. Congrats to all of you. According to the Borg, the next one, 1.4 million Borg, is going to go to burn safety net rewards or trading competitions. Up to you to vote. Cashback, is it working? Of course it is. 39 plus users, 146 more K to the Borg. So last week we have a total of 281,000 cashback collected, $269,000 of Borg buyback, which is fantastic, which is roughly a 1 million Borg that was give almost to 20,000 users, and there's added 1,141 new Borg holders. Borg and some data. Borg is not doing too well, minus 25%, but Borg holders are going up. SwissBorg in the app data, 67 million of trading, which is not great. Less than the 1,000 people KYC, unfortunately. Net flow, though, positive. Community Index Casio score, last week it was 6.4, now it's 6.0. Borg holders helping us a bit. Borgers, if you like this episode with Alex, the good thing is that we're going to have another one. This next one is going to be talking about really the pay to trade, cashback, Borgback. We didn't have this time in this video because we got too excited of the previous. But as you understood, this might hurt. This might be a painful moment. And this is the moments where if you wisely invested, you have essentially cash sitting on the SwissBorg app or somewhere where you could actually send it and be able to buy the dip or be able to auto invest. Auto investing is a great way to remove your emotions, and it's a good way to essentially be able to exit the fiat system in order to invest into what works on the long run. Of course, with volatility, there's a lot of risk, but if you go into high quality assets, there's a strong chance you get rewarded on the long run. As you guys know, my name is Cyrus and Alex. I'm the proud founder and CEO of SwissBorg, always here to serve you. And that was the beginning. But be healthy, be wealthy. Love our Borg you to iniquity. Take care, guys. Much love. Bye.